everyone. Welcome to Work Love Wednesday. Samm Smelter here for Work Love Wednesday. It is time for Work Love Wednesday. Hi Facebook, Samm Smelter here, and it is Wednesday, and it is time for Work Love Wednesday, and it is 11:03, so I am pretty close to being on time. Let's see, lighting. Alexa, turn off the office lights. Alexa, turn off the office lights.
Okay.
Oh, see, the lighting is still a lot. Still a lot here happening. Oh well. Alexa, turn on the office lights.
Okay.
That's as close to a magic trick as I get. Anyways, if you're hopping on, say hello. As always, they don't tell me who's looking. I just see that someone is watching, or those of you that are watching. And I want to start off by saying that I am so grateful, I guess is the word, but I absolutely love how all of you engage and interact with the Work Love Wednesday episodes, whether you're commenting on the post, you're sending me emails, you're stopping and having a brief conversation with me when you see me in random places. It just really opens up some really cool dialogue, and people were really receptive to the topic last week, which not surprised by, since it is a question that I'm asked fairly frequently. I am kind of surprised by, there's a new article that I put out on LinkedIn, and it's on the Leadership Arts blog. Bless you. The doggies are here. That's basically 3 reasons why busy professionals should consider Qigong practice. And it's actually getting really positive feedback on LinkedIn, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm pleasantly surprised. So the reason why I am also surprised that I made it on time was because today is the beginning of the fall semester at your college, and I am an adjunct, and so I'm doing the final touches of prep for our class today, which is really kind of what I call course orientation, to help students understand if they even want to be in this course with me all semester. But long story short, I was at the craft store looking for index cards and Post-its, which I guess are not common craft tools or materials. So didn't really find them. Found these squishy marshmallow pillows that look like squirrels that I really enjoyed hugging. And so I got squirrels because they're like fall, so I can put them in the living room without looking like a complete child, but I am a huge kid at heart. And the reason why I was digging in that bin to begin with is because my godson, Jackson's birthday is coming up, and he loves stuffed animals. He loves stuffed animals, and he loves soft things. And they had dinosaurs. And so when I saw the dinosaur tail, I went and got the dinosaur, which led me to the squirrels. And then because I have 2 kids, I had to get 2 of them. Not really. That's how having 2 children makes me believe that I have to get 2 of everything. I also got these really adorable donut monster blankets. So I'm really going on this really random tangent right now, but they're these, basically they look like donuts from far away. When you get up, they have little teeth in the middle. They're Halloween blankets, obviously, but they're really soft. And so I had to get 2 of those too. So 2 children makes everything come in 2s. But I was running around the craft store looking for these things, could not find them, ended up with these squishy pillows instead. But I really thought there was no way I was going to make it, be back here and be on time. And I was, by 3 minutes. And that allowed me to kind of set up and get my mind set for today. Because today's topic, this is probably a first ever in Work Love history. And I can thank my friend Ryan McShane for asking this question in the comments last week in our previous episode, because he asked about adrenal fatigue. And this episode will be a true I am a student, I am still learning process. But I really appreciated the challenge because it's allowing me to kind of link the content that I'm learning from my Medical Qigong classes and studies to a real life question that people are having. And I've had a couple of these as I've done more talks around Medical Qigong, and I really appreciate it because it is pushing me to apply what I'm learning in terms of how we are living. I mean, when you read a Chinese medicine textbook, it takes you to this world, and that's no different than any other book out there. It immerses you in this other kind of thought process. But as a result, you can find yourself being somewhat disconnected. And then when it comes to wanting to teach and share that knowledge, that disconnection can prove to be a disadvantage. And so I'm really at this place where I'm trying to, yes, digest and ensure that I'm learning, but also wanting to know how I give back and how it's helpful. And so when you interact and you ask questions and it allows me to relate in that context, you're really doing me a huge favor and helping me with my personal but also professional growth. And I should actually say that flip-flop. Obviously my professional growth, but really my personal growth too, because it's making me look at things from a different perspective. And that's probably the biggest thing that has happened to me over the last 6 months is I'm having this massive shift in perspective, in particular around the topic of wellness. And because it's something that is really weighing on me and really where I'm doing some heavy lifting in my life, I'm sure that's not going to be the end of that topic. So if you're tired of hearing about wellness, I apologize that my new perspective and how I am processing and generating those reflections, it's probably going to keep creeping back in. But what I have found is that most of us are suffering or struggling, whatever word really resonates with you, but we're in a discovery kind of process about what wellness means to you. I mean, one of the things that I have found fascinating since I've gone out on my own and started my own business and really was challenged with the question of what do I want to offer the world? What do I really want my legacy to be? And every time I've had a dilemma or a problem that I want to possibly find the solution for, I realize that the answer, especially when it comes to people, comes to having a personal awareness, an individual awareness of yourself. And that individual awareness of yourself is what is allowing you to essentially find the answer. And I think for so long we look for answers from others, and it's more of a learning process. And then we take what serves us, what is beneficial to us, and then move forward. And then that's where our healing and our growth really truly comes from. It's not from taking a solution or what worked for someone else and directly applying it to us. Yes, sometimes we have to do that, and that's how we start our growth process. But at the end of the day, it is a kind of collecting of data, a discovery process to really figure out what works for us overall. Last night we teach yin for you classes at Leadership Arts Associates. One of them is a yin yoga class that's on Tuesday nights at 6:30 p.m. Their community class is 100% free. If you feel really compelled to donate to the instructor for their time, you can do so. I am the instructor. But during the yin for you yoga class, the yin yoga class, one of the things that I always tell people is what I love about yin yoga is you get to utilize props to put you in positions for 5 to 7 minutes, and you kind of just melt there. But the way that you get into those poses, the way that you utilize those props are different than others. And you'll find what really serves your body, what helps heal your body, which helps you achieve your goals. And so really in a yin practice, everyone's practice is so unique and different. And it's really cool because we have a couple people who are coming more regularly now, and you can see them start to reach for the props that really feel good and make them have better results for the following day. And so that's what I think our wellness is about, is kind of this trial and error and figuring it out and finding out what serves you. So with that, let's dive into this topic, this question. And if you looked at the teaser for the live video, it obviously says talking about adrenal fatigue. And like I had mentioned before, my friend Ryan McShane had hopped in the comments last week and asked the question about any thoughts in regards to adrenal fatigue. And I had to obviously do a little bit of research because that's not something that is commonly one of the topics for at least yet in my studies for traditional Chinese medicine, and I haven't come across it. And so doing what we all do when we start to research something, we go to Google, and I went to Google and found WebMD had an article on adrenal fatigue. And so on WebMD, it says that the term adrenal fatigue was coined in 1998 by James Wilson, PhD, a naturopath and expert in alternative medicine. He describes it as a group of related signs and symptoms, a syndrome, that results when the adrenal glands function below the necessary level. He says it's usually associated with intense stress and often follows chronic infections like bronchitis, flu, or pneumonia. Wilson says people with it may not have any physical signs of illness, but still may feel tired, gray, and have fatigue that doesn't get better with sleep. They also crave snacky, salty snacks. The theory behind it, your body's immune system responds by revving up when you're under stress. Your adrenal glands, which are small organs above your kidneys, respond to stress by releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones are part of your fight or flight response. They increase your blood pressure and your heart rate. And it goes on and on and on. If you want to look up adrenal fatigue on WebMD, go ahead and do so. When I looked at it, and in particular, the focus of looking at obviously the adrenal glands, because that is the obviously where the term comes from. And we look at the adrenal glands, and they're small organs right near the kidneys. And so for me, when I was looking at this, for me, what triggered is thinking about our kidneys. And our kidneys are very close to our reservoir and our battery. In traditional Chinese medicine, they call it the lower dantian. But one of the things that I remember very clear from my classes is when we talked about the kidneys, it is very common for them to be deficient in energy. Very rarely, if ever, my teacher talks about learning that from his teachers that there's never anybody who has an excess amount of energy in their kidneys. Always deficient, which means we always need to be filling them up. They always need some loving. We're really hard on our kidneys. And when we talk about our kidneys and just putting that out there, knowing that most of us, if not majority of us, neglect our kidneys, basically kind of abuse them, knowing that they don't have the energy that they need. I would say that adrenal fatigue sounds to me as when that's really at a low deficiency level. And when you are having illness that accompanies that because you can't get better and you're so tired and your immune system's so low, it might start in the kidneys. But what I think happens as a result is it starts in the kidneys, but because our immune system level drops by the kidneys in our physical body, the barrier kind of breaks down, our immune system breaks down, and that's when we get sick. And so that's how it kind of feeds in there. But basically saying that the stress is the root cause for that. I believe that our kidneys are probably deficient because we live in a really yang-filled culture. We're pushed to be heavily stressed, and stress can be anything. It can be physical stress you're putting on your body from the gym, from the food that we're eating that does not really serve us, from just the high levels of food. So, our portion sizes are way out of control. But food itself, and this is unique to each of us. So I'm not just saying sugar and it says salty snacks. So eating lots of potato chips. Yes, those are not things that really serve us nutritionally, but I've been reading a couple of different books, and it's very interesting talking about how, gluten's a very popular option. Is gluten good for you or not good for you? It's good for some, but not for others. It's how your body reacts to it. Does it, if your body suffers from inflammation when you eat gluten, or I've read in other places, tomatoes. I mean, think about food allergies. Someone that's allergic to strawberries versus strawberries are really good for other people. So, there can be physical stress by what we're putting into our body, and that's not even covering things like alcohol or cigarettes and other things. And then also things from our external environment. So in the external environment, what we're breathing in, lead paint, all those kinds of things come into contact. And then on top of that, then there's emotional stress. So if I'm in an unhealthy relationship, if I'm in an unhealthy work environment, and when I say unhealthy, unwell, for you're not having what you need, can be causing you more stress. Good gosh, I know that being a parent is stressful. We saw that kind of play out in Work Love over the summer. And so that kind of stress. So all of those stresses can weigh very heavily on the kidneys. Now, when we talk about the kidneys in traditional Chinese medicine, the emotion that's tied to the kidneys, so what happens, what bubbles up is fear. And in particular, if you're suffering from adrenal fatigue and we're really focused on the kidneys, it points to signs of basically fear of the future. So afraid of what's to come, if something's going to work out. In the world of, for me, is my business going to be here next week? The fear of the failure. What's going to happen to my children when they grow up? What's going to happen to them tomorrow? Fear of the future. What is happening? The things that we can't control, the unknown, that is heavily lies in the kidneys. So that's a really big kind of riff. I know I started talking about physical bodies, and I didn't really want to go there because that would make the topic just much more complex. But just putting it in the idea that we all have immune systems and protective barriers. In traditional Chinese medicine, there's something called 3 bodies that serve as protective barriers. One of them is your physical body, but obviously, if we are letting stress get to extreme levels, it's going to cause breakdowns in our protective barrier, in our defense system, and allowing us to get sick. And then on top of that, in traditional Chinese medicine, we believe that energy, if it is not purged, released, moved, or made stronger, like if we don't take care of our organs and we just neglect them, it can manifest into something worse. And that's when an illness could potentially develop into something really awful. So thoughts about what to do in regards to kidneys. The first thing that comes to mind is rest. And this is like legit rest. The whole idea of sleeping habits and what you do to make sure that you have a good night's sleep, I think is really, really important. If your body is feeling tired, which I think is some of the beginning stages of all of this, respecting that you feel tired and making sure that you make the time to have that good quality sleep. So I know that there's times where my body tells me I need to be recharged, and the way that I have to recharge is through sleep. And so during that time, I might have more naps. I might have longer sleep, so I'm going to bed at 8:45 and sleeping till 7, but listening to my body. And you have to make sure that works with your schedule. So I know that I say things like I went to bed at 8:45 and then slept till 7. You're like, I have to get up regardless at 5 or 6 because I have to go to work. So then I go to bed sooner. And I've done that before at other times in my life where I was, you can ask Mr. Smeltzer, you can ask Josh, that I would go to bed at like 7 because of what was happening in my life at that time. Same thing with, naps. I don't have time to take a nap. the fact that your body's asking you to rest has to become a priority. It goes in the bucket with everything else that's happening. And so what happens is you start asking yourself, do I have to do this now, or can I wait? And if it can wait, sleep has to happen now. And if I don't take care and I don't rest appropriately, there's a chance that I'm going to get sick. And what happens when we get sick? Everything kind of gets derailed. And so you have to think about it in that capacity. And that's like a very logical capacity. The other thing is, I'm a big believer that your bedroom needs to be a peaceful retreat. And so you need to look at it and make some really tough calls, because I'm a big believer. Everything has energy. My mom has taught me that since I was a young girl. And if there are things that are in your physical environment where you're sleeping that could cause stress, I say remove them. So like, number one, my phone does not sleep next to my bed. It's in the bathroom where it charges in a cabinet. And so it's away from me. It's not by my bedside. We do have a TV in the bedroom. I don't fall asleep to it on, and usually it's off for a good 15 to 20 minutes before I fall asleep. But that's something that you need to make a call about. Is there a TV? Is there no TV? Is there clutter? Is your bedroom like a storage place, like where you dump other stuff to hide it from the house? That is the number one place to not put it. You need to find another place to store it. So either another bedroom that's not yours, that's not in use, a closet, the basement, the attic, somewhere else. But you cannot use your bedroom as a clutter collecting environment. Clutter causes a lot of stress, especially when we're sleeping, and you may not think that, but it is. Keeping your bedroom clean, making sure that you make your bed. I mean, it should be a sanctuary. Anytime that I moved anywhere early on in my life or later in life, my mom always taught me that the first room that you start with when you're decorating or you're planning or you're buying furniture is your bedroom. So no matter how stressful the rest of the house is, when you go into your bedroom, it should be a retreat. And so my number one recommendation is paying attention to your body and the sleep. And if you're tired, there's a reason for it. And you need to make it a priority. Number two is looking at a way to purge any built up energy around fear. So if you, as I was speaking and sharing with you, and you realize that you are very fearful of the future, or you've been having a lot of fear, so this can also be physical fear. You're talking about Halloween, watching scary movies or something. If you have a lot of physical fear, that can also be impacting the kidneys. If you find yourself just being very paranoid or over analytical and thinking about what could be coming in the future, or about the unknown, things that you can't control, that's all fear. And you need to find a healthy way to process that. For me, I have found Qigong exercises that allow me to purge fear and my fear-based emotions, if that's what, and other emotions as they come up. For others, there's lots of self-help books and journaling exercises and ways to release emotions. Therapy is always a great tool. Therapy has a lot of stereotypes with it, but they are mental health professionals that can help you work through all those things, and even maybe help you identify the root cause as to why you have all those fears. So that would be my other thought, is if there's fear associated, you need to address it. And the last one is, and this ties back all the way to this article that I'm very surprised about, is doing really well on LinkedIn, talking about integrating Qigong. Qigong allows you to fill up your reservoir. It gives you that endurance, it gives you resilience, and it allows you to tonify, so bring in really good energy into the kidneys, which is what we're talking about today. It also allows you to build up your protective barriers so that they don't break down when you do encounter environmental, external, stressful factors of any sort, even emotional stressful factors. And so I am a big believer that my other thought is that you do develop some sort of daily practice around energy medicine. I, in particular, have found that medical Qigong, traditional Chinese medicine practice is really beneficial, doing those exercises. And that's definitely something that, if it intrigues you, reach out to me. Like I said, I'm really pumped to help teach other people because it's helping me with my learning process. Because we all know when you can teach someone what you've learned, then you've really truly learned it. So if you want exercises of that nature, I think that's really helpful. And then I can also just hint at the fact that I would not discount, your energetic body. And if, Qigong is not your thing, if you're open to exploring your chakra systems, or going to see a holistic practitioner that deals in the world of energy medicine, acupuncture, any of those situations, go to a practitioner and tell them about adrenal fatigue. We saw that it was coined by a naturopath, so it is from a holistic doctor in alternative medicine that they have kind of coined this term. And so go to a holistic practitioner, alternative medicine. I don't know why that sounds so funny coming out of my mouth. But go to them and tell them your symptoms and allow them to take a look. Because sometimes we think we know what it is. This is just like Western medicine and going on WebMD. We think we know what it is, and it's not. And the last bit of advice that I always tell you when it comes to wellness and not feeling 100%, the best thing you can really do is trust your gut. If you intuitively think something is wrong or something is off, it probably is. And when that happens, I go looking for an answer, and I don't stop until I intuitively believe that I've gotten the answer that I needed. And so that means going down the route of Western medicine, alternative medicine, holistic practice. And I will keep going through practitioners and specialists until I find that I know that I am restored back to the state of wellness that I need to be at. So those are my thoughts on adrenal fatigue. I don't know if those are helpful or not. If they are, let me know. If you have interacted with a holistic practitioner or alternative medicine where you've dealt directly with adrenal fatigue and they've given you pointers that you think are helpful to share or resources, please send them over to me, like email me, samm@leadershipasart.com, and I'll happily share those in the notes for this episode. If you have any Q&As, this was really awesome to kind of have the episode still talk about things that are happening, but have someone, bring up a topic and out of curiosity, so that we can chat about it. And that's really kind of how last week happened. A lot of people have asked that question. This week, obviously, came a question right in the comments, and we answered it. So if you have one, feel free to comment or send me a message. You can also private message me on the Facebook page. But other than that, thank you for joining me today. Happy Work Love Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.